This episode of Connect for Life, the podcast, introduces our newest series, a monthly feature we call Dispatches from Johannesburg. Each segment of Dispatches from Johannesburg provides you with a personal update on the activities and developments of Connect for Life's newest chapter, based in Johannesburg, South Africa. This episode features Connect for Life's founder, Melanie Taddeo, delivering a keynote address to members of the Johannesburg New Dawn Rotary Club, February 26, 2025. Dispatches from Johannesburg is published every month and is an exclusive feature of Connect for Life, the podcast.
The one thing that's for certain, each and every one of us in this room will face unforeseen change in our lives. Change that we are not expecting that will change our life upside down. Could be a death in the family, a loss of a job, a breakup of a relationship, or the pandemic. These are things that you can't prepare for. But there's good news. We have a choice of how we handle it. We can curl into a ball and give up completely. Or we can embrace it and love the opportunities it presents us. For myself, I didn't believe in destiny or fate or that I had a bigger purpose. But when unforeseen change entered my life, just like that in a blink of an eye, my life changed forever. And I'd like to share my story with you to show you how over time and after embracing unforeseen change that I now discovered that I do have a bigger purpose. And that's what's brought me to South Africa. Take a minute and think back to when you were a child. What was it that you wanted to be? Was it a doctor, a lawyer, maybe the president? For me, it was a teacher. Everything I did in my life was in preparation to be a teacher. I was that little girl in her bedroom that set up her dollies and stuffed animals, teaching them ABCs, 1, 2, 3, and right from wrong. So in my life, my family raised me with service before self. So I volunteered a lot to gain experience teaching Sunday school, coaching soccer, Girl Guide leader, anything to get experience working with children. I worked as a nanny, a coach, a camp counselor, and all these things taught me so much about working with children. I discovered my passion for visual art in high school. So it only made sense for me to go on to university to study visual art and become an art teacher. I was living the dream as a 21-year-old, embracing life, having fun with my family and friends, and I had just secured the most amazing summer job teaching art at a day camp. I was living the dream and making money too. It was great until unforeseen change knocked at my door. I had just finished a hard day at that wonderful job I had secured, and I had to race back to the other city to coach my sister's soccer practice. Imagining commuting from Johannesburg to Pretoria in the middle of rush hour. We have a highway called the 401, and it's also referred to as the parking lot during rush hour. You sit there and wait, curse, yell at people, and it was so hot, a hot summer day, and I had a headache. I'd had headaches before, but this one was different somehow. So much so that I lost the eyesight in my left eye in the middle of the highway. I freaked out. Somehow I got the car to the side of the road and I clung to that steering wheel, praying to God, please let me get to my mom's house safely. He listened to my prayers and I got to my mom's house and I ran in going, I can't see. And she did what all moms did. Put a cold cloth on it, you'll be fine. Thanks, Mom. But I did that. Now, my family has always said I'm stubborn. I like to say determined. It sounds not necessary, doesn't it? But I was a person of my word. My parents had taught me well. I went and coached that soccer practice with that cold cloth on my eye. And after that, my mom rushed me to the hospital. The The doctors did test upon tests, and they couldn't understand what was going on, but encouraged me to go and have eye surgery to relieve the pressure that was on my eyes. As an art student, I begged my family not to touch my eyes because this was my livelihood. But as a parent, if the doctor says to you, your child will be blind for life if you don't make her have the surgery, what would you do? Surgery, exactly. So my father, to this day, regrets having me sign those papers, but I don't because it changed my life for the better. After the surgery, I was lethargic. I was throwing up, and they said, "Oh, it's the side effects of anesthetic. You need to go home. We need the hospital bed." Great. So I went to my parents' house to recover. And I remember after the third day, my mom said, "Melanie, we need to go to the doctor. You need to get up and shower." I was a modest young woman and thought, "Oh, Mom, I'm not feeling so good. Maybe tomorrow." "No, come on, get in the shower." And she had to shower me. That headache had come back, and I remember going to the top of the stairs, looking down, and my world spinning. I said, "Mom, I'm going to go down the stairs on my bum." And like a 3-year-old, I plopped down and started moving down the stairs. My mom said, "Melanie, move your left side." I said, "I am. What do you think I am, stupid?" I would never talk to my mom like that. So she knew something was wrong. And I had the massive stroke at the top of my stairs. My mom called 911. They rushed me off to the hospital where I slipped into a coma for 2 weeks. I had a secret. You can hear everything going on around you when you're in a coma. So be careful what you say to somebody. I had people coming, begging me to wake up, begging me to forgive them of the secrets they'd kept. My little sister Trish came to my bedside and confessed that she stole my case of peach gum. I literally and figuratively saw red. And when I woke up and called her out on it, wow, she was shocked. But people tell you things in hopes to inspire you. But what they don't realize is that you're dreaming when you're in the coma. You're there listening to what's happening. But for me, I heard and felt everything going on around me. I heard the priest come to give me my last rites. That was scary. I wanted to yell, "I'm still alive!" But I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. And I had a vision clearly in my mind. And it was of a big oak tree. And on that big branch was my uncle and my grandfather who had both passed away. And they kept saying, "Melanie, you're not fighting hard enough. You're not fighting hard enough. It's not your time." I started to feel my eyes flutter. I woke up. Wow. Everybody was crying, so happy, joyful. But my journey had only begun because I was completely paralyzed. I couldn't see a thing. And I didn't know the road that was ahead of me. I had to learn to walk again, to talk again, and to now navigate my world as a blind woman. There were many days I wanted to give up and throw in the towel and say, "That's too much. I can't do it." Especially when the pain and suffering of having to walk and try everything again. Until one day, Chaplain Mark came to my room and he asked me, "Melanie, do you want to just survive or do you want to thrive?" I thought, what do you know? I can't see. My life is over. He's like, "No, it's only beginning. You've been given a second chance at life. What will you do with it?" Food for thought. I had a lot of time laying in the hospital to ponder that question. And remember I told you my family said I was stubborn? Well, that stubbornness or determination came through as resilience. And after learning to walk again and to navigate my world, I did what anyone in my situation would do. I applied to Teachers College, of course, to achieve my dream. But my interview went like this: "How are you going to do that with your disability? And how are you going to do this with your disability?" And I finally said, "I thought this interview was about my abilities and not my disability." Thought, oh. Now, on my first day of Teachers College, because of course they had to let me in, my professor said, "You'll be gone by Christmas." Now, school starts in September in Canada. And I said, "Watch me." That stubbornness came through once again. And I graduated at the top of my class as the first legally blind teacher to graduate in Ontario, Canada. So I was so proud. I was ready to take on the world, to get a job and be that teacher that I had dreamed about being. But then I faced another challenge and barriers. People kept saying, it's okay, you're disabled, you can stay home. I said, I'm 21. I have my entire life ahead of me. I don't want to stay home. I have dreams and ambitions, but they only saw the disability. But on my journey, I met a lot of individuals with various disabilities, and they kept saying they wanted to be independent. They wanted to have quality of life. They wanted to contribute to their communities. So I had to think outside of the box and be innovative and come up with a way to use my teaching abilities to make a difference in my community. So I started Connect for Life, a charity that helps individuals with disabilities access education and training programs to help them reach their dreams and goals, and also so that they don't face the barriers and challenges that I had. We've been running for 11 years now. We've helped thousands of people acquire skill development and training and education to help them achieve their goals. Now, we remember what the pandemic was like. We were all locked down at home. Well, we had to take all of our programs virtual. And I was teaching radio broadcasting up home. And my husband, who's from Africa, was sitting there watching. And one day he said to me, Melanie, you need to take this to South Africa. And I looked at it and I said, what? Why would I take it to South Africa? What do they want to know about what I do in Canada? And he said, do your research. I think there's a need. So, of course, he planted a seed. I did my research. I thought, wow, there is possibilities. So I started to reach out to people, and he dangled a carrot. Melanie, if you can connect with 10 people in South Africa to learn more, I'll take you to South Africa. And that was in 2023. And I was sold because it was my dream to come to South Africa. So I kind of took it to the next step. He said 10, I made 25 meetings. So we came for 3 weeks, back-to-back meetings, just to learn and understand how disability is viewed here in South Africa, the work that organizations working with people with disabilities are doing. And as a special education teacher, I needed to understand what resources were available, because you all here are the experts in South Africa, not me. And that's what I tell everybody I meet. So after the 3 weeks of exciting tourist attractions and meeting people, I was inspired, and I went home to Canada and shared to my board of directors all the wonderful things I had learned. And I even was able to connect with a school, Carpe Diem, in Western Cape, where I taught their learners about public speaking and advocating for themselves as individuals with disabilities. And we virtually had Zoom calls once a week for 6 weeks, and they grew immensely. As I continued the conversations and learning more and connecting more, I said to my husband, I need to go back. I need to know more. I have questions. And he took me back last year, and we were here for 4 months. And during that time, I met more people and learned more. And I saw, from what I was hearing, a gap of skill development after individuals with disabilities and even the youth leave high school. Not everybody's pretty to go on for academic life, and some can't afford it either. But the one thing is, everybody wants to contribute to their family, to be self-sustainable, and to make a difference in their communities. How do we do that? Well, that's definitely by improving skill development. So after my trip that time, I came back to my board and I said, I presented to this Department of Social Development my plan of building a skill development training center to help individuals of all abilities learn skill development to help them not only to be a good employee, but perhaps being entrepreneurs, to start their own business, to learn something, have an opportunity for an internship, and then go back to the communities and contribute, not just to their family, but to the community as a whole. Because let's face it, despite having a disability, anything is possible. I'm back here again because now I have a board of directors here in South Africa. We're working towards starting that training center, and I've been meeting with a lot of organizations and schools to learn about what specific skills are needed. So here I am, a Rotarian, being able to come to another Rotary club to listen to all the great work you are doing and how we in Rotary do it there. We know anything is possible when we have community support. So I go back to my first question. Do you believe in fate, destiny, or a bigger purpose? I can confidently say that I definitely do, because here I am in South Africa, loving it and making a difference. I encourage each and every one of you to look at your life. Are you just going with the motions, or are you embracing what's in front of you? all of us need to work together to make a difference in this community. That's why we're Rotarians. So please, let's stay connected. Let's have a conversation about how people of all abilities can make a difference in our communities and how we can make an impact in their lives.
You have been listening to Connect for Life, the podcast. Connect for Life is a Canadian-based registered charity committed to eliminating barriers for people with disabilities. Visit connectforlife.ca and join us in helping people with disabilities become the champions of their growth stories.